Hi there, I'm Christian Oldcorn. I'm part of the Parish Pastoral Council in Mary Mother of God Parish, and Father Paul has asked me to just be a different face on the Facebook page from the parish and just speak a little bit about my experiences of lockdown. As well as being a parishioner attending Mass at St Winifred's Church, I'm also a head of house, St Luke's House at St Bede's and St Joseph's Catholic College, our Bradford Catholic Secondary School, and I'm also the dad to 4 children, with the youngest being 4 months old and my eldest being 17. I've been working from home as a school teacher. That's not normal. It's not what we are used to doing. But I've been in school probably about once a week for a day a week. But most of the contact I'm having with my students is through online lessons and through the Microsoft Teams app. So what you're seeing now is what has been my classroom for the last 5 or 6 weeks. Which is my little room at the top of the house where hopefully I can get things done quietly, and I've got my computer and all my internet access and things. Most important thing that I'm seeing, as not just as a teacher of religious education, but as a pastoral leader in the school, is that element of just being able to keep in contact somehow. And we see that through what people have been trying to do within the parish and in the wider society, that keeping in contact, particularly those people who might be vulnerable or lonely, this lockdown is only really going to make that a little bit worse and make it more noticeable for them. But it's really important that people do try and just make what contact they can safely. I think that really it's been a real learning experience. It's been something that has really made us start to think differently and not take things for granted. And when we talk about taking things for granted, I mean even just basic human contact with our family. I'm very lucky that me and my family, my extended family, my parents and what have you, they can use technology well, so we're able to keep in touch. But I know it's been hard. My youngest has gone from being 6 weeks old to nearly 4 months old whilst in lockdown, and I know it's really difficult for my parents, his grandparents, to not have that sort of hands-on, being able to give him a hug and a cuddle and see him really growing up. So it's difficult. So we don't take people for granted, it's really important that we learn from that going forward, that we are very fortunate to have people in our lives. Also places, I love going out and just being able to have the basic freedoms to go where I want, whether that's going to church, whether it's going shopping, whether it's going out into the countryside. All of those things have been taken away from us for the time being. But I think it's important that we also try and establish new norms. We try and build and sort of say where we can learn from this going forward. So things like homeschooling, things like using electronic methods to set homework. I know for us as a school, we're going to be looking to really sort of embrace that going forward. Little things at home, planning meals. It's not something that we're great at here, because both me and my wife are teachers, and we're often very busy, but just doing a big shop and planning meals day in, day out has been something that is, we're learning, which is quite nice. And I think also one of the things I'm really starting to understand is that whilst it's nice to have a window to the world through social media, it's also really important to surround yourself with as much positive news as you can. It's very easy using things like Twitter to be able to just look at the negatives all the time and look at what's causing division and what's causing people to be upset. I think it's really important to get a balance. Switch off Sky News. It's rolling news. It's the same every hour. Things are not changing that rapidly, but it's very easy to get caught into that sort of tunnel of sadness and depression. I've also found myself looking online for positives, actively looking for positives, and I've been enjoying Father Paul's videos and his reflections. We're very lucky in our school that we've got a brilliant lay chaplain, Madeline Woods, who supplies us every day with reflections and things to think about and pray about. And I've also been looking at a lot of the things that Archbishop John Wilson's been putting out through the Southwark Archdiocese, and I found a lot of those really, really uplifting and really useful in focusing and keeping us going forwards. So there's a couple of things really that in terms of my faith development, which have been, again, you kind of take things for granted. Going to Mass at school on a weekly basis, having assemblies where the students join in prayer, just being able to go and speak to people about faith and about God and just express ourselves is something that I'm really, really missing. So I'm looking for ways to be positive, and I've looked forward to this weekend's gospel readings, which are the 6th week of Easter, and it's very apt really. In the weeks after Easter, Jesus is preparing his followers for him not being around anymore. And he's telling them that, he's going to ask God to send an advocate, that time, effectively saying things are going to get better. Things are going to get easier because God is going to send someone who's going to enable us to have that courage and that strength and that wisdom that we need to go on moving forward. And we're very lucky that, for Jesus' disciples, the Holy Spirit was something that was very abstract. It was something that nobody had experienced yet. Yet for us as people of faith, it's something that we experience daily and that we know in our lives. So that really is a really apt reading that's coming up this weekend at Mass on Sunday. And really, I suppose the last thing that I try and keep at the front of my mind, and I'm very conscious that Mr. Johnson, our Prime Minister, is the king of short, snappy slogans, and is being criticised for them not having much content. But I go back to the words of one of my favourite ever Christians, and obviously in recent years he's become one of my favourite saints. And I go back to St. Pio, Padre Pio. Simple slogan: pray, hope, and don't worry. Okay, thank you. Bye.